Okay, excited about the opportunity we have in front of us, going down there to play a very, very good Houston team. We have to have a great week of preparation. What we've talked about as a team, just this is the time where you really have to have a great week of preparation, whether it's a meeting or a walkthrough or a lift or practice, whatever it is. So the guys understand that, and that's what we'll get ready to do today and starting this week. We're also excited that we're the first game. We don't have to wait an extra day, so we get to get up and go. But looking at this game, I know we recently played this team. As you know, they're different. Everybody's different each week, but C.J. Stroud's a great player. I mean, he's a great player, so we did not face him in the first one. There's injuries that guys that are back on defense that they didn't have. They've signed a couple free agents on defense, so really, as everybody knows, you're a different team week to week, and certainly this is a different team we're facing, but I know it's a very, very talented team. They're very well coached. I have a ton of respect for D'Amico, his entire coaching staff. So it's a great challenge, but we're really focused on the work that's going to go into it this week. But with that, I'll take any questions.
Kevin, do you expect Dustin to kick for you guys this week?
I think it's unlikely.
Kevin, what stands out? You mentioned CJ when you watch him on tape. What stands out?
Yeah, he's awesome. I remember watching him early, Tom, because we had some crossover tape and getting ready to play Baltimore. I know he played in that was his first game. And I think even in that game you saw some plays and some throws where you knew right away that kid was really, really talented. And I know the state has seen him play quite a bit. So he's a very talented young man. And I think the tape is what we as coaches always kind of go back to, and he's got some really great tape.
Kevin, I couldn't anticipated it, but would you in the future instruct your kickers not to do it what Dustin did?
Yeah, I think it's always that fine line, Jeff, where you want to make a play for the team, you want to hustle, but you also don't want to put yourself in harm's way. So those are things we talk about, but you can't deny that our guys have great effort out there.
Kevin, obviously Grant could be activated this week. Is he not ready? Or is there a chance he still be activated?
Yeah, still could be.
You talked about the changes you're going to see with Houston. What difference could it make having a guy like Will Anderson and even Grenard if he's able to play more?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like everybody. You want all your players to be healthy at this point in the season. Everybody's dealing with it in varying degrees, but those are some really, really good edge rushers they have.
How do you feel about your receiving core, the health of your receiving core heading into this game?
Yeah, feel good. Obviously, Sed's still in the concussion protocol, but I think all those other guys are doing well.
Some of the players spoke at a team meeting that have had Super Bowl and playoff experience. Why do you think that was an important exercise for them?
They weren't supposed to tell you that. No, I think for all of us, as you get started on the second season, I think it's important to hear from different perspectives. That's all it was.
Was it just playoff experience, or was it guys with Super Bowl experience that spoke?
Yes.
Speaking of
Kevin, Nico Collins, and just seeing the way that he and CJ have developed chemistry in the past game with Tank Dell still out for them. How much of a challenge is he, especially just given his size?
Yeah, I mean, that's it, Ashley. He's just a really physical football player, can make contested catches, has the speed, has breakaway speed. He's a big play receiver, as you saw in the first play of the game the other night. He's really, really talented.
You spoke of perspective. Your rookie season as a head coach, you took this team to the playoffs. D'Amico's a rookie coach. What is it as a first-year coach that you just don't know until you know when you go into a playoff game?
Yeah, I think for all of our players, coaches, you have a lot of rookies on the team, guys that haven't been in that type of situation. It's exciting to be a part of it, but it also goes back to doing all the little things that got you there and really focusing on fundamentals. Those are the type of things that you talk about with our young players.
What about I was more speaking from your perspective as a coach. What didn't you know going in that you learned in that experience,
Yeah, I think for all of us as coaches, Chris, I would tell you every experience you're trying to gain something from. So you learn from wins, you learn from losses. So every experience, games on the road, games in prime time, those type of things, I think all of them you learn from.
Is the feeling with Dustin Hopkins that, maybe he's getting close and he can get back for some of the later games, and you don't want to waste him in this game and make it worse?
Yeah, I wouldn't characterize it that way, Mary Kay. I'd just say he's progressing, but I don't think he'll be ready for this week.
Kevin, you said a couple of weeks ago that Miles' leadership, you've seen a huge jump in that. His teammates would say that, which they do. When you say he's made a huge jump in leadership, what does that mean exactly? What does that look like?
Yeah, I think it can look like a bunch of different things. I think biggest thing for me with all of our guys, Jake, is like you want them to be the best version of themselves. You don't want them to be something different. So when it comes to leadership, if you're a vocal person, be vocal. If you're not, don't. And if you need to lead by example, you lead by example. So I think just with Miles, he's very comfortable in his own skin. I think he can lead by example, and he does lead by example both in the building and on game day. He can also be vocal. I mean, he's not afraid to speak up to his teammates and push them, sometimes, pick them up off the ground, those type of things. I think he's grown in a bunch of different ways, but sometimes it's hard to really put a finger on it.
When your best player's doing those things, what does that do for your entire team?
Yeah, I think we're very fortunate to have a bunch of really good leadership on this team. When it comes from Miles and the caliber of player that he is, I think that's just it's a greater driver, certainly, of some of your messaging.
When Amari has the kind of game he did the first time he went down to Houston, do you expect them to do something drastically different?
Yeah, I mean, you play those, you talk through those type of things, and same idea from our perspective. It's that chess match of things that we tried. Are you going to try it again? Are you going to try it a different way? Are they going to adjust? It's all those things that you go into a game, you have conversations about, but you really don't know until you get into the game, and sometimes you won't know until the third series, and so there's always that chess match that takes place between the staff and their staff, and see what their answers are, and you better have counter punches ready.
Specifically talking about the postseason, what can Joe's experience in the league just really help, the offense as a whole, but especially the younger guys as they're going through this experience for the first time?
Yeah, I think all of our veteran players that have been in these type of games and veteran coaches that have been in these type of games, I think you can certainly message to the young guys. The rookies are really the ones that are, have not experienced these type of games, and younger players. So you want to just message to them, again, going back to what we were talking earlier, that what wins doesn't change. It ultimately does come down to doing your job and doing all those little things.
I just want to clarify something with Riley. Since Dustin's going to be unlikely to kick, are you guys? Does it reset for the postseason? The elevation?
It does.
It does.
Unlimited. Mm-hmm.
So he's back to zero. So you
Correct.
It's hard to win in September, never mind in January. Joe's playoff record, especially on the road, I know you're confident in it any time, but does that give you an added boost of confidence?
Yeah, I think when you're talking about Joe's career, he's obviously done this at a high level in the the biggest games. So I think the confidence comes from demonstrated ability. And with Joe, he's done it in these big games. But more than that, I think his teammates see how he works on a daily basis. I think they see him out there on the practice field, in the meeting rooms, and they trust in his preparation.
Jeff Driscoll be your number 2 for this game?
We're working through all that.
Kevin, do you sense the excitement from the city, going into these playoffs? You were there before, but it was kind of a different situation. People were not out and about. People were now. Do you feel it?
I'm probably a bad barometer for it, Jake. I'm sure, knowing the city, I know how important this team is to them, and we understand that. We've seen it however many times down in the lake this season. So looking forward to seeing some of those Brownies fans down there on Saturday.
You're as good as the defense has played all year. There were some bumps on the road. Then you went down to Houston, played great. Do you think you guys gained confidence from being able to travel and kind of play like yourselves down there?
Yeah, but yes, Scott, but as you know, these are one-game seasons, and you got to answer the bell every single week. I mean, that's the fun part, again, of the playoffs. It truly is one-game seasons.
I've wondered this for a long time. What is
I haven't
your
asked, Jeff.
what is your typical daily schedule here? Are you one of those 5 in the morning to 1 in the morning guys, or?
You know, I've always thought, Jeff, that when I get in the building or when I leave the building, there's a lot of people out there that work a lot harder than I do. So I get in the building and have my cup of coffee. I'm not grinding like some of the people, you know, around our country. So I'll leave it a mystery.
Okay, but my point was going to be that, you know, I don't know how coaches do it and still can think clearly at the end of a season when some put in those really crazy hours.
Yeah, it's football. You know, we got a great job. It's fun. You know, we had a meeting this morning with the offensive staff. It was, you know, a little loopy because everybody was tired, but the guys were into it and excited about the opportunity. But it is part of our gig. You're up early, you're staying up late.
Kevin, the practice squad has kind of morphed into something different in the last few years. How advantageous is that as a mechanism to kind of stash guys away, or
Yeah,
whatever you want to do?
absolutely. Yeah, it's a good point because, you know, back in the day, I want to say it was 8, and now it's 16, and you know, we still fret over not having enough spots somehow. But yeah, to be able to have guys on your practice squad that you are getting ready to play just in case, I think it's really important. As you know, once you get into the postseason, you have a limited number of free agent signings. So to have guys that know your system, that you trust, that you could elevate in a situation where you need them, I think is important.
Does that make, you know, signing veterans more of a priority, or do you have to strike some sort of balance there?
It's a good question. I don't know ultimately what Andrew's philosophy is when it comes to that specifically, but if you look at our practice squad right now, I mean, it's a good mix of young and old, and I think it does make sense to have some guys that you just never know. You want to have guys that have certainly have some experience.
You guys can be indoors this week.
We will. We'll be indoors. Definitely today.
Do you like playing against a team in the playoffs that you have some working knowledge in because you played them already, or because it's so week to week, do you feel like you tear it down to the studs?
It goes both ways. It really does. You know, it's unique having played them just a couple weeks ago. You know, go back to 2020, playing Pittsburgh back-to-back weeks. I mean, those are unique because there's not much new tape coming in. There's a couple games that you can watch and see maybe what adjustments and things that they're doing differently from that first matchup. But it is certainly unique, but I don't think it gives either side an advantage. Okay, thanks, guys.